The lights dim, the crowd hushes, and for one heartbeat the entire theater seems to hold its breath. Before we begin, if stories of courage, raw talent, and impossible dreams give you goosebumps, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the very end, because this moment will stay with you long after the applause fades. A small figure steps onto the America's Got Talent stage, his shoes a little scuffed, his shoulders a little tense, his eyes bright with something between fear and hope. He is 12 years old, from a quiet Filipino neighborhood where dreams are whispered more than spoken aloud. And in the next few minutes, he will leave Simon Cowell speechless. Back home, mornings begin early. The boy wakes before the sun, listening to the hum of tricycles outside and the soft breathing of his family in a room that feels smaller when worries grow big. His father works long hours wherever work can be found, his mother stretches every peso with careful hands, and his grandmother hums old songs while folding laundry. Music is not a luxury here, it's a companion. It fills the cracks when life feels heavy. The boy learned to sing not from lessons, but from listening radio melodies drifting through open windows, church hymns echoing off concrete walls, lullabies that carried him through nights when the rain wouldn't stop. At school, he is quiet. Not because he has nothing to say, but because words don't come as easily as notes. Some classmates tease him for dreaming too big. Others smile politely, the way people do when they don't quite believe. But when he sings, even softly, something changes. Teachers pause. Friends lean closer. It's as if his voice knows a way through feelings that language can't reach. Still, dreaming of a stage across the ocean feels impossible. Flights cost money. Auditions are crowded. Rejection is loud. And yet, the dream refuses to leave him alone. The chance arrives like a miracle wrapped in doubt. A video submission. A borrowed phone. A single take because there's no time and no space for second chances. He sings with his eyes closed, imagining a room bigger than his own, imagining people who might listen. When the invitation comes, his mother cries quietly so he won't feel the weight of her fear. His father nods, trying to look brave. His grandmother presses a small cross into his palm and whispers that faith is a kind of music too. Now he stands under blinding lights. The judges smile, curious. Simon Cowell leans forward, skeptical but attentive. The boy introduces himself, his accent gentle, his hands shaking just enough to show how much this matters. He tells them where he's from, who he sings for, why he's here. The audience murmurs. Another child. Another dream. But then the music begins. His first note lands like a question, fragile and honest. The second answers it with strength he didn't know he had. His voice grows, not louder, but fuller, carrying stories of narrow streets and wide hopes, of hunger that isn't just for food, of nights spent believing tomorrow could be kinder. He doesn't perform for the judges, he confesses to them. Each phrase feels lived in, worn smooth by feeling. The crowd leans in. Phones lower. Smiles fade into something deeper. Simon's eyebrows lift. He stops tapping his pen. One judge covers her mouth. The boy's voice climbs, not chasing perfection but truth, and in that climb the room changes. The sound is clear, but the emotion is what cuts through. It's the sound of a child who learned resilience before algebra, who understands loss before applause. The final note hangs in the air, trembling, then settles into silence. For a second, no one moves. Silence can be cruel on a stage like this, but this silence is different. It's reverent. Then the applause erupts, rising like a wave. People stand without realizing they're standing. Simon Cowell doesn't speak right away. He just looks at the boy, stunned, as if recalibrating what he thought he knew about age and greatness. When Simon finally finds his words, they come carefully. He praises not just the voice, but the heart behind it. He admits he didn't expect that. He says it takes courage to sound like that, to be that open. The boy listens, tears threatening, trying to stand tall. One judge asks about his family, and he answers with pride, saying they are his reason. Another asks how it felt to sing on that stage. He says it felt like flying and falling at the same time. Laughter ripples, warm and kind. And then, the moment. The judge reaches for the button. Time stretches. The boy's breath catches. When the golden buzzer is pressed, gold rains down like a promise kept. Confetti fills the air, lights sparkle, and the boy breaks, smiling and crying all at once. He looks for his parents in the crowd, finds them, and lifts his hands as if to say, "We did it." The judges clap, the audience roars, and Simon Cowell, for once, has nothing to add. His silence says enough. Backstage, wrapped in a hug that feels bigger than the world, the boy tries to understand what just happened. This doesn't erase the struggles back home. It doesn't magically fix everything. But it opens a door. It tells him that his voice matters, that where he comes from is not a limitation but a strength. It tells every kid watching from a small room with a big dream that their story counts too. As the video ends, remember this: talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. When you support stories like this, when you like, share, and subscribe, you help these moments travel farther than they ever could alone. You help courage find an audience. The boy walks off the stage still 12 years old, still learning, still growing, but now he carries proof that dreams can cross oceans. And somewhere, in a quiet neighborhood, a radio plays, a grandmother hums, and a new song begins. The theater is loud before he appears, filled with restless energy, laughter, whispers, and the familiar buzz of expectation. But the moment his name is called, something shifts. A small boy walks out onto one of the biggest stages in the world, and suddenly the noise begins to soften. Before we go any further, if you believe in hidden talent, in stories that come from the heart, and in moments that remind us why dreams matter, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel. And stay with us until the end, because this is not just a performance, it's a journey you won't forget. He is only 12 years old, born and raised in the Philippines, where life teaches lessons early and dreams must learn how to survive. His shoes are simple, his clothes modest, but his eyes carry something far bigger than the stage beneath his feet. They carry years of quiet hope. As he stands under the bright lights, the judges smile politely, the audience claps encouragingly, and Simon Cowell watches with his usual sharp focus. No one knows yet that in a few minutes, even Simon will struggle to find words. Back home, his world is small but full. A narrow street, neighbors who know each other's stories, children playing barefoot in the afternoons, and the smell of rice cooking over a simple stove. His family lives together in a house that has seen better days, but it is rich in warmth. His father works whenever work is available, sometimes construction, sometimes long days under the sun that leave his hands rough and his back aching. His mother does everything else, cooking, cleaning, caring, worrying silently so her children don't have to. And then there is his grandmother, whose voice first taught him what music could be. As a toddler, he would sit on the floor while she hummed old Filipino songs, her voice soft but steady. He didn't understand the words then, but he felt the emotion. He learned early that music could carry sadness without breaking, that it could hold joy gently, that it could say what people were too tired or too afraid to say themselves. When the radio played, he sang along. When the church choir practiced, he listened from the back. No one taught him technique. Life taught him feeling. School was not always easy. He was smaller than most boys his age, quieter too. Some classmates teased him for singing, telling him it wasn't practical, that it wouldn't put food on the table. Others encouraged him quietly, asking him to sing during breaks, smiling when his voice filled the classroom. His teachers noticed something special, not just in how he sang, but in how seriously he took it. For him, music was never about showing off. It was about survival. It was about hope. At night, when the house grew quiet and the city noises faded, he would lie awake imagining a different future. Not a fancy one, just a stable one. A future where his parents didn't worry so much, where his grandmother could rest, where his voice could help instead of just dreaming. He watched talent shows on a small screen, amazed at the stages, the lights, the judges. America felt like another planet. America's Got Talent felt like a miracle. Still, he watched, and he dreamed. The idea to audition didn't come easily. It came with fear. Fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of dreaming too big. But it also came with encouragement. A teacher who said, "You have something rare." A neighbor who said, "What if?" His parents hesitated, not because they didn't believe in him, but because believing sometimes hurts more when things don't work out. Still, they tried. A video was recorded in a small room with borrowed equipment. There were no fancy edits, no second chances. Just a boy, his voice, and a prayer. When the invitation arrived, it felt unreal. His mother read the message again and again. His father stared at the screen, quiet, thoughtful. His grandmother smiled and said, "See? Your voice travels." Preparing for the journey was not easy. Papers, flights, unfamiliar places, and the heavy feeling of leaving home. But he carried his family with him in every way that mattered. Now, standing on the AGT stage, he introduces himself. His voice shakes just a little as he speaks, his accent gentle, his words honest. He talks about where he's from, about his family, about how singing makes him feel. The audience listens. Simon asks why he chose this song. The boy answers simply, saying it reminds him of home, of struggle, of hope. There is no arrogance in him, no expectation, only gratitude for being here. The music starts. The first note is soft, almost fragile, like he's testing the air. Then his voice settles, finding its place. It's clear, emotional, and unexpectedly powerful. It doesn't sound like a child trying to sound big. It sounds like a soul that has lived deeply. Each lyric carries weight, shaped by nights of uncertainty and mornings of determination. The audience grows quiet, not out of politeness, but out of respect. As he continues, something extraordinary happens. His nerves disappear. His shoulders relax. His voice opens up. He sings with everything he has, not just skill, but memory. He sings about longing, about believing when it's hard, about holding on when the world feels heavy. You can hear the Philippines in his tone, the streets, the rain, the resilience. You can hear a child who understands hardship but chooses hope anyway. Simon Cowell leans forward. The skepticism fades from his face, replaced by surprise. One judge wipes away a tear. Another smiles in disbelief. The boy reaches the chorus, and his voice lifts, soaring higher without strain. It fills the theater, wrapping around every seat, every heart. People in the audience exchange looks that say, "Are you hearing this?" The final note is held just long enough to hurt. Then it fades. Silence. For a moment, no one moves. It's the kind of silence that means something important just happened. Then the applause begins, slow at first, then thunderous. The crowd rises to its feet. The boy blinks, overwhelmed, trying to understand what he's seeing. He bows his head slightly, holding back tears. Simon Cowell stands. He doesn't rush to speak. When he finally does, his voice is softer than usual. He says he didn't expect that. He says the boy's voice is not just good, it's meaningful. He says that kind of emotion cannot be taught. The judges praise his courage, his authenticity, his heart. The boy nods, listening, hands clasped tightly together. Then comes the question every contestant waits for: what's next? The judge reaches toward the desk. Time slows. The boy's breath catches. Somewhere in the audience, his parents hold each other. His grandmother watches from far away, hands folded, whispering thanks. The golden buzzer is pressed. Gold confetti explodes into the air, raining down like sunlight. The boy gasps, then cries openly, covering his face for a moment before looking up, laughing through tears. The crowd roars. The judges stand, clapping, smiling. Simon Cowell shakes his head, almost laughing in disbelief. For once, he truly has no criticism to give. The boy looks out into the audience, searching. When he finds his family, his smile grows wider than ever before. This moment is not just his. It belongs to every sacrifice, every quiet prayer, every night of doubt. On that stage, he is no longer just a kid from a small neighborhood. He is proof that talent knows no borders. Backstage, everything feels unreal. The lights, the noise, the congratulations. But when he finally sits alone for a moment, the reality sinks in. This doesn't mean the struggle is over. It doesn't mean life will suddenly be easy. But it means his voice was heard. It means his story mattered. For viewers around the world, this performance becomes more than entertainment. It becomes inspiration. It reminds us that greatness can come from anywhere, that age does not limit impact, that sincerity can silence even the toughest critics. It reminds parents to listen to their children's dreams, teachers to encourage potential, and dreamers to keep going even when the path feels impossible. As the video comes to an end, remember this young boy and what he represents. If his story moved you, if his voice reached you, show your support by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who needs a little hope today. Because sometimes, all it takes is one voice, one moment, one chance to change everything. He walked onto that stage as a 12-year-old with a dream. He walked off with the world listening. And somewhere back home, a radio plays softly, a grandmother smiles, and a boy's song continues, stronger, braver, and louder than ever before.